131,000 XRP for one iPhone. That was about 10 years ago, where if you could trade 131,000 XRP at that time directly for one iPhone at retail, the latest version, that's what it costs in terms of XRP tokens. Fast forward today, and that same iPhone at retail, the latest version, for the price that it's sold at retail, is about 320 XRP. So from 131,000 to 320. And the question is, will go from 320 to 1, where 1 XRP will buy you one new iPhone in the future, the latest version, for what it's being sold at retail. We're going to get into that today in this video and some other things for you to consider at this time in early November 2025, where everything is happening and nothing is happening. So welcome to this video. My name is Chip Mahoney, and I have for you, link in the description, my Front Run the Week newsletter that comes out every Sunday. So if you've never made a trade before in crypto, never been to a DEX, never done anything like that, if you're brand new, then make your first trade your email. But if you are experienced as well in crypto, trade your email anyways. But brand new, definitely do that because you'll get that for free. And then you also get my signals, or at least access to that, like on a 7-day. And that's where you get tokens that I can say confidently add to your watch list. Tracking narratives that I like, and then also even a treasury tracker, because those are companies on the stock market that are like trying to have this success in late capitalism, as I call it. They're stacking crypto, and some of them are really reckless about it, but others have a plan in place, and that's why I like to track it. So I've got that for you and a lot of other things. So link in the description. Appreciate you checking that out. So yeah, 131,000 XRP to 320, but the question is, will it go from 320 to 1, where one day you wake up and you're like, yeah, I want a brand new iPhone for some reason. I guess they got a different color and it's kind of cool. Nothing else has changed on it, but I got to buy it. I got to have it. Will 1 XRP pay for that? Let's say $800, let's say $1,000 at that time. Well, I would argue, maybe argue is the wrong word, but I would say that it would be easier to go from 320 to 1 rather than 131,000 to 320, because during that time, Ripple was engaged in a lot of things, but the government was suing them for a long time. And in fact, they had targeted for termination Ripple as number 1 in crypto. Over 100 enforcement actions as well with other companies, Web3 firms and so forth. But Ripple was a big target, probably most likely because they thought that Ripple was going to be a bank one day. So they got to go after them. But yeah, now here we are where that case has been tossed. It was frivolous all the time. The SEC wanted $1 billion from Ripple in a frivolous lawsuit. They settled on $200 million, but when that case got tossed a few months later, Ripple bought Rail for that same $200 million. They bought Rail, and then they bought Hidden Road, which today debuted as Ripple Prime. So that's really prime. And also recently bought G Treasury, probably the most important acquisition in my opinion. So that is amazing. That is happening right now in the 320 to 1 era, not before. So I would say that, yeah, it would be easier to go from 320 to 1. I don't know if that will happen. It'd be great if it did. But in this example, going from 131,000 to 320 and then 320 to 1, well, right now it's in favorable conditions for Ripple. They're probably going to be a bank. There's a lot going on there. So the other question is that if you do wake up one day and you have 1 XRP and you're like, yeah, it's worth $1,000. I can go buy that iPhone if I want. Now, you couldn't back in the day just trade that XRP directly with Apple, but most likely when that time comes and it's like 1-to-1, then Apple's going to be like, deal is done. just give us your wallet address. It's already integrated. You've already sent that XRP and that iPhone is on the way to you. And you don't have to trade it out for cash somehow and journey over to the Apple store. So that could be something in the future. And that's just something to think about during this time where, last month was supposed to be October. That didn't happen. People were really impatient because alt season has been promised for such a long time. And then October didn't happen. And so people, traders, retail and institutional, really bet big during that time. And they got wiped out, over 20 billion liquidated. So there was a lot of impatience at that time. So now here we are in November, and we have ISO 222 at the end of the month, and XRP Ripple is involved with that, as are other projects out there. But that's where you want to be aligned with the builders, and not the ones that are always like changing course every 18 months or so in crypto because of these new waves of these narratives that come around, whether it's NFTs to something else. People like to pivot a lot. But as I say, with XRP and Ripple doing what they're doing, building how they are, that it seems like people will pivot to them. They're just making it so that people have to come to them. And that's really important to think about and consider. So if you are new to crypto, understand that right now it may look like nothing is happening, but a lot of things are happening. I know the government is closed and we have Thanksgiving and Black Friday this month, but when they talk about doorbusters there, I've said that a doorbuster for the filibuster could be the ETFs, because there are a lot of ETFs, a lot of XRP that is waiting in the wings, shall we say, and other projects as well, but a lot of money set to come in to the crypto market, turning it from like a 4 trillion market cap to, I would expect 8 to 10 trillion sooner than later. I really do think so. So just remember that if 131,000 XRP could buy one iPhone in 2014, and we're at 320 today, could we go 1-to-1 in the future? But if it was still 131,000 measured against that new iPhone today, the latest version, is like, well, today still, I would have to have 131,000 XRP to buy the latest iPhone if I wanted to do that right now in November 2025. That is something that should give you confidence in understanding where we are and what this project is doing. Because the iPhone is the measuring stick for retail, what they find desirable, and it has been for like 15 years. So it's a very good comparison. And so the difference would be, like I said, will it go 1-to-1? But if it were to go 1-to-1 in the future or get really close to that, I think also in order to get that iPhone, they would take XRP for it. Whereas before they wouldn't do that, back when you had to have 131,000. So if you still had to have that same 131,000 to afford one iPhone, and that was the exchange, then I would say that XRP and Ripple is not going to work out, and they're making all of the wrong moves in crypto. But it seems to me it's opposite to that. And during the time of 320-to-1 right now in this era, that they have acquired Rail, Hidden Road, which is now Ripple Prime, G Treasury, and then there's also Evernorth, which is a digital asset treasury for XRP. So consider ISO 222 standards that are coming. Consider the ETFs as the doorbusters to open the government again, because it will open again. They'll open their doors and they're not going to shut down completely. They have jobs too. They have income to make, and they have deals on the table. And those ETFs are really important. So that's where I am with this. I hope it's worked for you and checking it out. Links in the description. Appreciate you subscribing anywhere and coming back for more, and I will have more for you. But on this video, I'm out. Thanks a lot.